and welcome. I'm Ida Rodriguez. Thanks for joining us. More heads on the chopping block because of corruption. This time, the president takes aim at high-ranking military officials running a government hospital. Our senior correspondent, Ina Andolong, has the details.
Do not go into corruption.
It appears his warnings are still not enough. Malacanang says President Duterte has ordered the armed forces to relieve 20 people for anomalous purchases of medical equipment and other fraudulent transactions. There are military officials linked to corruption in the V. Luna Medical Center, the government hospital for soldiers. Only 2 have been identified so far: AFP Health Service Command Chief Brigadier General Edwin Leo Torrelavega and V. Luna Medical Center Commander Colonel Antonio Punzalan. Officials from the AFP Health Service Command's Management and Fiscal Division were also ordered removed. Some of them will face court-martial proceedings.
He's ballistic because only recently he ordered that the sum of 50 million a month be released to V. Luna, only to find out that bulk of the funds or much of the funds may be going to pockets of corrupt officials of the armed forces.
Presidential spokesman Harry Roque said the officials involved conspired to circumvent bidding rules and even came up with fictitious suppliers. Apparently, one recent transaction was monitored, involving medical equipment worth 1.5 million pesos that were never delivered.
That's just one case. We're talking of, according to the Chief of Staff, and I had a conversation with him, hundreds of millions of pesos.
AFP Chief General Carlito Galvez says the relief order is immediate. He explains they want to destroy the cartel of suppliers operating in V. Luna and fix the problem within a month.
I will order that the reforms be instituted in the Armed Forces of the Philippines Health Services Command. I will cause a major revamp in that unit to address systemic corruption and also allow the further investigation that will be conducted by our Inspector General and our intelligence service.
Malacanang says corruption in V. Luna Medical Center was happening even before President Duterte's term. With the removal of corruption at the top level, the palace hopes to end it. Ina Andolong, CNN Philippines.
The House Committee on Appropriations suspends budget deliberations in the wake of cuts in several government projects because of the cash-based system. While Malacanang is surprised by the suspension, our Joyce Ilas tells us the country's economic managers are not worried about a reenacted 2019 budget.
A number of areas in Luzon were recently submerged in flood caused by heavy rain, raising the urgency among officials to quickly undertake flood control projects. But the proposed 2019 budget has seemingly cut funding for such projects and drainage systems. The current infrastructure budget to protect lives and properties against floods is 122.7 billion pesos. This will go down to almost 102 billion pesos, or a cut of nearly 17%. The new cash-based budgeting system only allows funding for projects, which should begin and be completed within the year. It replaces the existing multi-year obligation-based system, which allows funding for up to 2 years.
Tilang naging biktima ang Pilipino ng sinasabing dagdag bawas. Nagdagdag ng buwis, nagbawas ng benepisyo.
Nograles says many departments suffered infrastructure budget cuts under the new scheme. Among these, the Education Department's budget to build new classrooms is down by almost 70 billion pesos. While Chad's scholarship program cut by 3 billion pesos. The Health Department has no funding to put up new health facilities. As a result of these cuts, Nograles says the House Appropriations Committee has suspended all budget deliberations until the Budget Department reverts to the obligation-based system and restores funding for infrastructure projects.
Now that we see the weakness of the system, okay, halt muna natin yan to a future time. The DBCC, the DBM, can come back to Congress and amend what they submitted.
Malacanang expresses shock and alarm in the House decision to suspend budget deliberations. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque, however, says Budget Secretary Ben Diokno and Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez are not worried about the possibility of a reenacted budget.
The congressmen better ask themselves what will happen to their pet projects, because under a reenacted budget, it is Malacanang that will determine which budgets will be implemented.
Okay.
I don't think they want that.
House Majority Leader Nonoy Andaya, however, assures the public that the House is not moving towards a reenacted budget. He says budget deliberations were suspended to give the Budget Department time to explain to lawmakers how they plan to carry out the new cash-based system. Andaya says even cabinet secretaries are at a loss when asked about budget cuts in their departments during the hearings.
I think it's about time na tumigil muna kami sa pag-hear ng budget and make sense of it. Hindi rin kami makatanong because when we ask questions, the usual answer is DBM made the cut. They do not know how to answer the question.
The national budget was last reenacted during the term of then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who is now House Speaker. Joyce Ila, CNN Philippines.
Weather officials say the southwest monsoon will continue to affect Luzon. Rains are expected in the Ilocos region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Batanes, Babuyan Group of Islands, Zambales, Bataan, and Occidental Mindoro. Occasional rains will prevail in Metro Manila and the rest of Central Luzon and Calabarzon, while partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rains or thunderstorms are expected in the rest of Luzon. Authorities warn of possible flooding and landslides in these areas as they continue to monitor 4 weather systems enhancing the southwest monsoon.
May mga bagyo din po na nasa labas po ng ating PAR, gaya po ng nabanggit ninyo, itong si Yagi na formerly si Carding, halos nandito na po siya sa may bandang China. And then itong si severe tropical storm Lipi, so nag-intensify pa po siya. Pero outside din po yan ng PAR, halos nasa east po ng extreme northern Luzon. And then yung low pressure area naman na nag-develop into a tropical depression na nandyan naman po sa may bandang West Philippine Sea. So itong 4 na weather systems na ito po yung halos nag-enhance ng ating habagat. Kaya't kung mapapansin po ninyo yung intensity ng mga pagulan, ngayon po sa Metro Manila, naka-raise pa rin po yung yellow rainfall warning po.
The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council says 2 people died from drowning at the height of the monsoon rains in Metro Manila. One is from Marikina and the other from Quezon City. Another resident of Quezon City is also reported missing. In its latest report, however, the National Capital Region Police lists 5 fatalities already, 3 from Quezon City and 1 each from Manila and Marikina. Some local governments in Luzon have again suspended classes tomorrow because of the bad weather. These include Malolos City and Bocaue, among other towns in Bulacan, Santo Tomas in Pampanga, and Marikina City. In Quezon City, the Central Colleges of the Philippines also suspended classes tomorrow. Prices of several vegetables in Metro Manila's major wet markets go up after days of intense monsoon rains and floods. Our Rex Remitio tells us more.
Heavy rains and floods that battered Luzon this weekend have caused a surge in vegetable prices in Metro Manila. Here at the Balintawak Market in Quezon City, carrots and cabbage cost up to 120 pesos from 80 pesos per kilogram last week. Cauliflower now at 180 from 160 pesos. Onions at 85 from 80 pesos, Baguio beans now at 50 from 45 pesos per pile, okra and kangkong from 5 to 10 pesos, and squash from 10 to 25 per slice. Prices of other vegetables like chayote, eggplant, potatoes, broccoli, garlic, and ginger did not go up. Others like ampalaya and tomatoes went down because of the early harvest. Retailers have no choice but to raise prices as well.
Ano yung sinasabi nung mga supplier nyo kung bakit mataas yung presyo ng gulay?
Ang mga sinasabi daw kasi nila, yung mga kwento ng mga biyahero, yung ibang gulay nalubog na sa baha sa sobrang ulan. Kaya yung ibang mga pananim nasira.
Sabi nung mga nagdadala, pagka konti dala nila mataas kasi syempre yung gastos sa sasakyan, ganun.
Some buyers are opting to trim down their ingredients because of the price spike.
Tumaas. Talagang grabe. Pinipili ko yung cheaper na vegetables, then hihintay ako ng it goes down pagka then that's the time na bibili ako ulit.
Vendors in Nepa Q-Mart, also in Quezon City, says they have to adjust prices based on supply from northern and central Luzon.
Mataas ang gulay, mahirap mag-budget.
Meanwhile, prices of pork, beef, chicken, and fish remain stable, but retailers say they were sold at higher than usual prices these past few weeks. The surge in vegetable prices will hurt the poor, as most of their budget is spent on food. Higher wet market prices somewhat reflect expectation by economic managers that inflation would peak in the third quarter, if not this month. Economists also fear bad weather will push prices further up. The Agriculture Department, meanwhile, is closely monitoring suppliers and retailers against overpricing. The police says they're ready to help in the crackdown against violators of price freeze orders during calamities.
Kung sila ay lalabas, pwede namin silang samahan.
But for the ordinary customer, they're just waiting for a respite from the high prices of commodities sooner than later. Rex Remitio, CNN, Philippines.
In San Mateo, Rizal, the Sangguniang Bayan approves a resolution placing the municipality under a state of calamity after heavy rains from Typhoon Carding and the southwest monsoon. The resolution authorizes the San Mateo mayor to release disaster funds to assist flood victims. The Environment Department orders a suspension of quarrying in the towns of San Mateo and Rodriguez in Rizal Province. This as authorities assess the cost of massive flooding in the area following torrential rains over the weekend. Environment Undersecretary Jonas Leones says some residents and local government units have earlier raised concerns about the quarrying activities. The temporary suspension order comes after nearby Marikina City was also flooded, prompting the evacuation of thousands of residents.
We'll suspend the operations of all quarrying dyan sa tabi ng river. So I would like to encourage, maglagay na lang tayo, magtanim tayo ng pag-usapan nga namin mamaya yung bambus. Kasi ito nakaka-hold yung mga dyan sa erosion, tapos nakaka-hold ng bank of the rivers.
Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro welcomes this development. He tells CNN Philippines that the Marikina River is affected by activities near the upstream river communities. The latest in sports, Filipino athletes will soon go for gold in Indonesia as they compete in the upcoming Asian Games. Some of them visited Malacanang for the official send-off led by President Rodrigo Duterte. Philippines' chef de mission for the Asian Games, Richard Gomez, says the country will send 272 athletes to compete in 35 sporting events in the regional meet. In the last Asian Games in 2014 in Incheon, South Korea, the Philippine delegation brought home a gold medal, 3 silvers and 11 bronzes. Gomez tells CNN Philippines they're not making medal predictions and instead are encouraging athletes to give their best.
Ako, naging atleta ako.
Of course,
yes. Entering the games, you only try to do your best and fight for your country. So this time as we entered the Asian Games, considering that last Asian Games we only had one, I said, I'm telling my athletes, laban lang tayo. Let's fight well, and kung ano yung maging resulta natin, let's take it at that. So, kung ilan yung gold na madadala natin, I'm really not sure on how many. But we're hoping that we'll perform better than last Asian Games, 1 gold medal.
The Asian Games open on August 18th and will run until September 2nd.